Hello and welcome to the MJ Take here on Sports Fan Entertainment. And today I decided to bring a guest on with me. Help me welcome Louie Tee from the Louie Tee Network. And man, let me tell you this, okay? There's one guy on here you should be subscribed to, and that's me. But then after me, this guy brings the fire. He is right there with me when it comes to producing content that is top notch. Louie, represent yourself, introduce yourself to the people.
What's going on, y'all? Who else could it be? Your man, Louie Tee, here on Sports Fan Entertainment with my man MJ. Check my channel out, Louie Tee Network, for more great content in 2016 and beyond on YouTube. The Louie Tee Network is what you should be subscribed to, as well as Sports Fan Entertainment. So let's get this party started, man. Let's talk about some football, MJ. Let's do this.
And this is going to be fun, man. Y'all like to watch your first take. Y'all like to watch your undisputed. Well, we're about to bring a better product than that, I can guarantee you. Let's talk about contenders and pretenders in the NFL. And let's start with Super Bowl contenders, discussing whether or not teams are Super Bowl contenders, true Super Bowl contenders. And let's start with the only undefeated team in the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'm going to be honest. When the Vikings made the trade for Sam Bradford, I was one of the ones that was overreacting, saying what a horrible trade it was, while Lou was one of the ones saying, calm down, it's not that serious, they need to go all out for a quarterback. Now, I still kind of hold on to the belief that maybe they shouldn't have made this trade. However, they're obviously better than I thought they'd be. How good are they, Louis? Are they actually Super Bowl contenders, or will they just flame out once they make it to the playoffs?
Look, like you just said, I was one of those people that said this was a genius trade, because a lot of people, and I didn't understand this at the time, why they didn't understand that Sam Bradford is actually a good quarterback in this league. He's had some tough situations befall him, whether it's injury or a lack of a roster around him, bad infrastructure when he was in St. Louis, now LA. He's a guy that, when protected, he can throw the football. You don't get drafted number one overall if you can't play the position. And I know a lot of people like to say, Jamarcus Russell, what about? He had talent. He just didn't have it up here. Sam Bradford has everything that you need to be successful in this league. And I was saying that Rick Spielman did the right thing, because this Vikings team is ready to win now. The only thing that I worry about, this is the only thing that could stop this team from being a serious Super Bowl contender, is the fact that offensive line is horrible. And they just put another offensive tackle on IR for the season. They already lost their left tackle. Now they lost their right tackle. If you can't protect Sam Bradford, he's going to get injured. We've seen that story. We know how that movie ends. If they can't protect Sam Bradford, he will not remain healthy. And if he's not healthy, and you got to go back to Sean Hill, well, we already know how that is going to turn out.
Yeah, I'm very shocked they've been able to even keep Sam Bradford upright as much as they have thus far. They've only given up about 9 sacks to Sam Bradford. That's one of the lower totals in the league. We're talking about an offensive line that was starting Andre Smith, a guy that's the last couple of years. Matt Khalil's been up and down, and T.J. Clemmings, he's not very good. You know, a bunch of guys that haven't playing that well. But, hey, they've been protecting him. And the funny thing, and just the odd thing about this whole offense is, I mean, they lost Adrian Peterson. They lost Teddy Bridgewater. They're running the ball, but, you know, they're effective, I guess you could say, in running the ball, but they're not that explosive. They're not that dynamic.
They don't have to be, James. They don't have to be, MJ. They don't have to be. They don't have to be explosive. They don't give up points, and you know this. You played them yourself. They didn't score an offensive touchdown, and they still beat you by 2 scores. This is what they do. They keep teams from scoring the football. So all they have to do is do what they've done this season. Have great special teams. How many punt returns does Marcus Sherrill have on the season? 2? They're getting contributions from special teams. They're getting defensive scores. They're getting turnovers. And this is what I've been telling everybody all season long. They don't beat themselves. They don't have a bunch of penalties. They don't turn it over. I don't think Sam Bradford has turned the football over once since starting as Minnesota Vikings quarterback. They're not going to beat themselves. So if you're doing all of those things correctly, all you have to do is stick to the blueprint. And the blueprint is simple. Play defense, run the football, protect the football, don't have mistakes that's going to cost us penalties, i.e., and Sam Bradford can go out, throw for 250 yards, 1 touchdown, and go and win the game 20-10. Sounds like a winner to me.
But you need to be careful because although Sam Bradford has not thrown his interception yet, although this defense has not given up many points yet, that day will come. Every NFL team, every NFL defense, they have that bad day. Every quarterback has that bad day. And when that bad day comes, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be able to do. But I'll give you this. Yes, they are Super Bowl contenders. However, I'm not just going to write in pen 2016-17 Super Bowl champions, the Minnesota Vikings.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
With this running game that isn't that explosive, isn't that dynamic, when Sam Bradford finally has his bad game, when the defense finally has this off day, and Terrence Newman shows his age and Trey Wayne shows his inexperience, you will see. But now they really weren't that good enough to win the Super Bowl. But we'll see how things turn out.
Let me ask you this: did the Denver Broncos have a bad day defensively last year?
Oh, okay. Now we can get into the one exception over the last 20.
I'm not saying
Dilfer in the Baltimore Ravens. That's the one exception. The only one. The only
their quarterback situation was way worse last year in Denver. So, hey, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. And they couldn't run the ball either. So, look, I'm just telling you, if you can play the type of defense that this Minnesota Vikings team can play, that travels anywhere. Road, home, outside, dome, doesn't matter. January, September, the weather doesn't matter. This team has a blueprint that transcends time, location, anything. If they can just keep Sam Bradford upright, they got a shot. As good as anybody in this league.
Oh, yeah, they definitely have a shot. And as I said, they're definitely Super Bowl contenders. We'll see if they can actually go all the way. Let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, again, we're going to talk about them as Super Bowl contenders, and this may be shocking, but they're obviously playoff contenders. You don't have to be of the belief that they're going to make it. Personally, I'm not of the belief that they're going to make it, but as a 4-1 team, you are a playoff contender. Yeah. Super Bowl contender, and I'll start with this one with a big N-O. Look. Okay, they currently are starting Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, a rookie quarterback and a rookie running back. When you go to the playoffs, these two will show their true colors. You cannot win in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback and a rookie running back. Now, they're going to bring Tony Romo back, and they're planning to start him, or at least that's what they're telling us. He's not going to stay healthy. At this time, at this moment, I can't buy Tony Romo's back. Neither should you, neither should anyone else out there. So there's going to be a quarterback controversy yet again. Not buying you can go into the playoffs and compete for a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback and a rookie running back, and this defense that, albeit they had a nice game against Cincinnati, I'm still not buying their pass rush. I'm still not buying their secondary. What do you think?
Hey, look, I don't have a problem with their rookie backfield. Okay, the quarterback, the running back, they're fine. Those guys are lights out right now. Ezekiel Elliott's not only leading rusher among all rookies, he's the leading rusher in the whole entire National Football League. So it's not like this guy is you're trying to put him into a box and say, oh, well, he's leading all the rookies. He's leading all NFL rushers, all. This guy in that offensive line is tremendous. Dak Prescott hasn't turned the football over yet. I'm not worried about those two. I'm worried about that defense. That defense is not good, and they're going to get exposed eventually, but when you can run it the way that they do and your quarterback's not making mistakes, I kept waiting for that other shoe to drop. I said, oh, here's the week. Cincinnati, this is the best defense he's seen all season. He's going to make a mistake. What mistake? They dominated that football game. They were up 21-0 at half. It was 28-0 after the first possession of the third quarter. That game was a joke. This Cowboys team is for real. I don't think their defense, however, is for real, and I think that's going to be their downfall this season. But if you're talking about the quarterback position, and yes, I think Tony Romo will get his job back when he is healthy. And I was one of those idiots saying, hey, he doesn't have to get hurt again. Why does he have to get hurt? First game back, he gets hurt. I'm convinced now he can't stay healthy. Dak Prescott is going to be your quarterback again at some point this season. Ezekiel Elliott running the football behind that offensive line is going to be dominant. The question to me is going to come down to, can this Cowboys defense stop anybody when it matters? And my answer to that is no.
And I have to agree with that. And especially, they're going to go up against Green Bay this week. And let me tell you about Green Bay. Right now, they're not playing great football offensively, but, man, their run defense is legit. Yeah. So when they slow down Ezekiel Elliott and they force Dak Prescott to beat them, the Dallas Cowboys, and maybe we'll revisit this in our minds later. Let's move on. Let's not go into the New England Patriots because everyone knows about the New England Patriots. So let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? And for me, this is a definite yes. They are Super Bowl contenders. This is a team that I had making the Super Bowl, defeating the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship before this year started. I've seen nothing from me to stray away from that opinion at all. They're playing phenomenal team play right now. Defensively, they still have their issues in their holes. Right now, I'm not quite. I mean, Tom Brady's great. Okay, he's great. I'm not buying that this 39-year-old man in January is going to be able to beat his Pittsburgh Steelers offense. What do you think?
Well, I, like you, MJ, had the Steelers going to the Super Bowl before the season started. And like you just eloquently put it, I have seen nothing to dissuade me from having the Steelers still making a trip to Houston when it's all said and done. I love what they have. And if, again, I hate talking about health because, as you know, that can change the game as quick as anything else can. If Le'Veon Bell can stay healthy, this is as dynamic an offense as you will find in this league. I think they can do enough defensively. Yeah, they have some holes there, but I'm willing to overlook it if you are, because this offense is so prolific. They're so dynamic. They can score in bunches. They can score with the best of them. And I think when healthy, and again, Ryan Shazier, man, he is such an expensive automobile. Boy, when he's out of the shop and running well, that guy's a beast, but he's always in the shop needing minor repairs. If he can just stay healthy, this defense has enough on that side of the football to be competent enough to allow that offense to be dynamic and score a bunch of points and beat teams come December, January, and into February.
Let's move on to the only team that the Pittsburgh Steelers lost to, the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is actually a two-part question. First of all, are they a playoff contender? Because people still aren't convinced of that. And then if they are they a Super Bowl contender?
They're definitely a playoff contender. They're not a Super Bowl contending team right now, no. And they have their own set of problems. I think this is a team we're going to find out, much like the Cowboys, we're going to find out a lot about these rookie quarterbacks and these particular teams right now that have had this success to start the season. As their schedules start to ramp up, we're going to find out a lot. I think a lot of people were surprised at just how good that Eagles defense has been to start this season, because I was one of the people that said, hey, Carson Wentz, he's great. I thought he was the best quarterback in this past spring's draft. But I said I also had a caveat with that. He's not ready to play yet. And this guy's come in, and I think the one thing that we haven't talked about enough, and I've really started to really try to shed light to this, is that Eagles coaching staff is outstanding. Doug Peterson and that coaching staff has put together some outstanding game plans each and every single week. That's why they've been so dynamic offensively. This defense was already good. I don't think we gave them enough credit. They went out and made some shrewd moves in the offseason. Defensively, McLeod at safety. You get some other pieces out there, and all of a sudden now they're playing good football defensively. They're a legit team in the NFC conference, and with teams like Arizona struggling, they could easily sneak into the postseason. I don't think they win the NFC East, but I do think this is a team that could easily make the postseason.
Yeah, right now, with the way Carson Wentz is playing, man, they're definitely a playoff contender. Now, it's hard to say Super Bowl contender. If their defense is who they appeared to be after the first 3 weeks, I think we should have the conversation. Now, unfortunately, offensively, I'm not even worried about the rookie quarterback. I'm worried about the wide receivers. I'm worried about the running back. Matthews, who's supposed to be a veteran running back, for his rookie quarterback, supposed to be a reliable Ryan Matthews. Guy's been in the league for a number of years, blows the game by fumbling the football late in the fourth quarter.
He's always been a fumbler, always, since his San Diego days. This is nothing new. I'm just surprised it took him this long to fumble the damn ball. What are you waiting on? Fumble the ball.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised as well. And, I mean, you're talking about these wide receivers. Honestly, all of them are clowns, every single one of them. Jordan Matthews, this guy continues to drop touchdowns. Same goes with DGB. Same goes with every single one of them. I mean, these people need to have a clinical practice in which they learn how to catch the football because they don't know how to do it consistently. Oh, what a bunch of clowns. But anyway, because of these wide receivers, these inconsistent wide receivers, these inconsistent running backs, I can't trust the Philadelphia Eagles team as far as I can throw them. But Carson Wentz, the guy's legit. Okay, the guy, he's going through his progressions. He's leading this team. He looks like a 10-year veteran in charge of the offense. Competent wide receivers and running backs in there. Philadelphia, man, they're building yet another powerhouse. NFC East fans, Cowboy fans, earlier time this year, because I'm telling you, the Eagles are going to be around for a while with this Carson Wentz kid.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another team. Let's go back to the AFC. The Houston Texans, a team that lost to the Minnesota Vikings, that got blown out. Some people are under the belief that they won't even win the AFC South now, even though they're leading, they're going to end up blowing it. What do you stand on this?
Look, man, I've been over here fighting a losing battle because I'm a Brock Osweiler guy, and I've been protecting BO for quite some time now because they've been coming after BO. They've been coming for his head since that Patriots game, and I've been trying to beat him off with a stick, but he didn't look good against the Vikings, and he hasn't looked good against the upper echelon teams that can play a little bit of defense. He struggled against the Patriots. That's an understatement. They got shut out in that game. I didn't like the coaching in that game at all. You're running on 3rd and 11, and I just thought they set him up to fail. And I really think they're setting him up for failure the way they're using him right now in Houston. All that aside, however, this still is the best team in the AFC South, as bad as it pains me to say that, because they're not playing great football right now. They still haven't put it together offensively, and this defense is going to take a huge step back without J.J. Watt. However, they're still the best team in that division. They're still going to win the AFC South when it's all said and done. I was huge on the Colts taking a step back forward and taking this division back from the Houston Texans, but they didn't do anything to protect Andrew Luck in the offseason. This defense is horrible. The Texans are still going to win this division by default at 9-7, which is what Bill O'Brien does every single year with the Texans.
Yeah, the Texans winning this division as well. Now, it's being Super Bowl contenders. I mean, absolutely. Now, we're seeing how they're performing against top teams in the league. But as a playoff contender, yeah, I'm buying this. Now, they have a huge divisional matchup this week, Indianapolis Colts. But with the way the Colts offensive line is protecting, or I guess you should say not protecting.
Exactly.
Yeah, they should definitely get after Andrew Luck and get that W. But Brock Osweiler, I mean, God, this guy looks bad. I mean, this is pretty ridiculous. Now, actually, lucky for them, we can look at the 4-year, $72 million headline. But if you look at the contract after the 2017 season, $6 million cap hit. So I think you're going to see in the future this won't be as bad. But for now, that's the headline, and that's what's taking everyone's mind. But they're still going to win this division. They're missing J.J. Watt a little bit, but the offense just isn't very good. The offense is inconsistent. Will Fuller, for his strengths, he's a playmaker. He's a guy that can get your kick return or punt return touchdowns. A guy that can go down the field. He's still dropping some passes. Okay, DeAndre Hopkins is still getting.
It comes with the territory, but the guy is a playmaker, no doubt about it. And he's only second to Ezekiel Elliott among rookies in terms of touchdowns this season. The guy's electric. Just get him the football, which is killing me because they have all these playmakers and they're taking all these 7-step drops. The guy's dropping back 5 yards, play action fake, 7-step drops. Get the football to Nuke. Get the football to Will Fuller the fifth. You have playmakers, Braxton Miller. Get them the football. Stop with all these deep, long developing routes that are getting Brock Osweiler killed back there. Get rid of the football. They're killing me.
And you have to wonder, like, this is Bill O'Brien. I mean, this is the offensive guy. I don't know why he has no control over this offense right now. I know Godsey is the offensive coordinator right now, but, I mean, they've been trying to figure out this offense for 3 years, and they haven't gotten this offense to be average in the NFL. It completely blows my mind, but they continue to rely on the defense. The defense is good enough. They'll win the AFC South. They'll win this week against Indianapolis, but when it comes to being a Super Bowl contender, they will choke. Let's move on to another team in the AFC, the Oakland Raiders. I think we can both believe and agree they are playoff contenders, but Super Bowl contenders are they, Louie Tee?
Hell no. And the reason I say that is because have you seen that defense? Oh my God. That defense is horrible. Horrible. I mean, the only two teams that they didn't give it up to was the Titans, who are allergic to scoring points. They just finally broke the 30-point barrier. And then the Ravens, and they gave up 27 in that ball game to a team that just fired their offensive coordinator because he was horrible. And Mark Tresman. This is a Raiders team that has given up 30-plus points in 3 of their 5 contests this year. They can't stop anybody, but I'm going to tell you this much. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Derek Carr. The 4 Carr has arrived, and he's not going anywhere, folks. He's going to take over the mantle as the best quarterback in that division. He's right there behind Phillip Rivers right now. Give him another year, and he'll be the best quarterback in that division, and it won't even be close. That guy is phenomenal. And that offense, you can say what you want about that defense. This offense is good enough to compete with anybody in the league right now. Jack Del Rio, never scared. 4th and 1, 4th and 2. He doesn't give a damn. This team is rolling the dice. I love what they're doing offensively, but that defense is not, I repeat, not going to allow them to advance if they make it to the postseason.
Yeah, I tweeted this Sunday. I'm like, man, how good is Derek Carr? I mean, the guy is unbelievable. And you say that he's behind Phillip Rivers. Look, I'm a huge Phillip Rivers fan. I'm starting to question that because
can't do it.
The difference right now between the Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers, one team knows how to finish games, the other team does not. And I think a big part of that is Derek Carr and his ability to be so clutch, so good in the fourth quarter. I think it stems off of what was a horrible 2014 campaign where they started off 0-10. He felt the pain of losing games, and he said, you know what, I'm learning how to win games, and he's coming out, he's like, we're not going through that again. I'm taking control of these games, and I'm winning these games for my football team. So I'm starting to think Derek Carr might be the best quarterback in the division, but when it comes to the Super Bowl contender, as you said, no. The Patriots and the Steelers are going to rip them to shreds in January. I don't care which one of them they face. Won't even be lucky enough to face one of them. And if they do, still, I mean, the Steelers, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, it's going to be bad. Not even Derek Carr will be able to keep up. But, man, after this season, we're going to have a hell of a conversation about the Raiders for years to come because with this quarterback that they have and how well he's playing, they're going to be dangerous for years to come.
I agree, but he's not better than Phillip Rivers, just so you know. Not right now.
Oh, really? Okay. So that's not what we're here to talk about today, but we'll move on. Let's go down to the Baltimore Ravens. Are they true playoff contenders? I'll start this one. Mm-hmm. No. Look, I haven't been that impressed with the Baltimore Ravens this season. Yes, they started out 3-0. They beat the Bills, they beat the Browns, and they beat the Jaguars. I think we can all agree the Browns stink. Mm-hmm. The Jaguars are still underwhelmers. Now, the Bills' victory appears to be the best one. But, man, they have offensive issues right now. They just fired Mark Trestman. John Harbaugh loves firing offensive coordinators, man. He's been doing it for years now. I don't know who they're promoting, but I'm just not buying this offense right now. I think they're relying on the inconsistent Rashad Perriman and Steve Smith, old Steve Smith, Mike Wallace. Like, these guys are washed up. None of these guys are dynamic or good. I don't think they're better than the Bengals. I know the Bengals have a worse record, but I think when they start meeting the Bengals and facing the Bengals are going to sweep them. I think that's what I truly believe right now. And their defense still relying on these older guys that, they're playing okay, but I think they're going to fade as the season goes on. I'm not buying the Ravens at all.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, and don't quote me on this, but I believe they promoted Marty Mornhinweg from quarterbacks coach to your offensive coordinator. And if that's in fact the case, I think he can get this offense on track. I think the bottom line is they still are deficient of talent on that football team. I mean, when you look at the fact that once Steve Smith was out of the lineup on Sunday, their offense literally went down the toilet. And yes, Mark Trestman was horrible, but I still have questions. I still have doubts about this Ravens team in terms of talent. Are they good enough to compete with the upper echelon teams in just their division? I mean, I don't even know, and I think Cincinnati has regressed tremendously, and I still think they're going to struggle with the likes of Cincinnati. I think they could easily struggle with the Steelers. I still think this is a team that has a little ways to go before we consider them a playoff team again. I'm not buying the Baltimore Ravens playoff stock right now. I'm selling that right now. I'd love to see them for a week or two with this new look offense, but even then, I still have my doubts about this football team. I'm not buying Baltimore Ravens stock in the playoffs.
All right, let's go to your home base, the Washington Redskins. Are the Redskins true playoff contenders?
You damn right we are. Yeah, and I'll tell you exactly why. Right now, I'll tell you what. I talked about the Raiders' defense being bad. Our defense isn't good either, but we're getting better. We're making steps. We just held the Ravens to 10 points. Now, granted, they're horrible on offense, all right? But that's the kind of confidence-building game you need when your defense stinks. And we still have problems stopping the run, but we've got one of the best corners in the league. We're going to get one of the best, what I think is one of the best second corners in the league, and Bashard Breeland back from injury. We're starting to put some pieces together. We were playing a lot of guys that had no business starting on an NFL roster defensively, and we putting the right guys on the field now. And I'm not even talking about the offense, because you still haven't seen the best of what we have to offer offensively, because Kirk Cousins still hasn't played the level of football that we saw at the end of the season last year, and we're still putting up close to 30 points a game. So I'm not worried about this team offensively. We're getting contributions from the special teams now. Jamison Crowder is leading the league in punt return average after his 85-yard, and he went into the game leading the league in punt return average before his 85-yard punt return for a touchdown versus the Ravens. So we're getting contributions from the special teams. The offense, I don't think there's a team out there that can stop us offensively. Only we can stop ourselves. We don't run the football that great, but I think we may have an answer to that. His name is Robert Kelly. He'll see a lot more snaps this weekend. The defense is coming along, and I'll tell you this much. As bad as our defense is, just like the Raiders are doing right now, we're generating turnovers, and that is the great equalizer. This Redskins team, not a Super Bowl contender, far from it, but they are definitely a playoff football team.
Well, you had me until you said, "Oh, we have Robert Kelly, who's going to help us in the run game."
Running the football isn't something that is necessary, as you saw last year with this Redskins team, for them to be successful. It's something we do just to set up play action fake. If they had it their way, they would throw it 55 times and run it 0. But they need to set up play action fake. And like you saw last year, they have no problem spreading the field out, 4 or 5 receiver sets, go empty, and allowing Kirk Cousins to go dealer's choice, work one side of the field and pick teams apart, a la Tom Brady, and get down the field and get into the end zone. So the running game is a luxury for the Redskins. It's not a necessity.
Yeah, I have to say, the Redskins are playoff contenders right now. However, for all the reasons that you just specified, as I've said coming into this year, I honestly believe the Redskins have the most talent in the NFC East. I think the problem is the schedule. And I think the schedule is absolutely brutal. Now, they won the games that they needed to win. You probably, could have won the Week 2 game against Dallas, but, you guys win in each other's houses all the time. It would not shock me in the least if you guys go to Dallas and pick up that W.
Yeah.
Bunch of tough games coming up later on in the year. I think this Redskins team, don't sleep on them when it comes to the NFC East, but I think they will be due in by their schedule more than their talent per se.
It's possible. We definitely have a bunch of tough games coming up, but tell you one thing, after looking at these teams, man, I'm not as afraid as I was when the schedule came out.
All right, let's move on back to the Super Bowl contender discussion. The Atlanta Falcons have started off 4-1. Matt Ryan playing absolutely tremendous right now, leading the league in passing yards with over 1,700 passing yards after 3 games. Are the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl contenders?
Wow. I mean, I've been begging the Falcons fans to not hurt me. I'm so non-committal on them because of the past. 2 years ago, they got me kicked out of my survivor pool. Last year, I pushed all my chips into the middle of the table. I said this Falcons team is taking this division away from the Panthers, who were the 2-time NFC South champions. And they started out like gangbusters at 5-0. They ultimately went to 6-1 after beating the Titans, and then it all fell apart. So I am non-committal on this Falcons team, but I will tell you this much, and this is what I've been telling all of the Falcons fans. This feels like 2012. This feels a lot like 2012 when they went all the way to the NFC Championship game and should have went to the Super Bowl and blew the lead to the San Francisco 49ers. The thing that impressed me in this past week's game versus the Denver Broncos was the defense. This was the thing that was holding them back. I call the NFC South the Big 12 of the National Football League because no one in that division plays any defense. They're giving up points, 45 here, 37 there. Everybody's giving up points. It's a free-for-all. But they went to Denver, and I get it. I know Paxton Lynch, rookie quarterback, first NFL start. I get all of that. They were physical. They out-physicaled the Broncos in their house, and they went in there and held them down. And they didn't score a ton of points. That offense wasn't dynamic on Sunday. The defense was, and they got the victory. I'm buying the Atlanta Falcons as a Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah, as you said, it feels like 2012. And, the Falcons are a team that lately we've soured on, but, man, they've been good in the past. Like you said, 2012. There's a team that, led by Matt Ryan, has gone to the playoffs a number of times. This isn't completely unheard of. When it comes to being a Super Bowl contender, I have to buy it, actually. They went to Denver, and albeit with Paxton Lynch starting at quarterback, they went to Denver, and they got a W. And then who plays very similar to Denver right now? Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And I also like that they're not doing it entirely because of Julio Jones. Now, Julio Jones definitely can blow up for 300 yards. The game before that, he had like 12, and the game after that, he had 29. So they can win without Julio Jones because they have these dynamic running backs, Evan Coleman and Devontae Freeman, that get open underneath, that get yards after the catch, that are so dangerous and dynamic over the middle and outsides of the field. You look at Mohamed Sanu, who's been a nice little player for them. Not great, not a world beater, but man, he's been a nice little player for them. So there are multiple ways to move the football down the field. Now, defensively, though, I don't love the talent. I think they've had more talent in the past in terms of defensively. So I'm not quite sure if they'll win it, but I'll tell you this. They are definite Super Bowl contenders right now, the Atlanta Falcons.
Vic Beasley got 3.5 sacks and forced 2 fumbles. Wow. If he can keep this up now, again, they were playing musical chairs along that offensive line where the Broncos. But if he can keep that up, this changes the entire game for the Atlanta Falcons. I'll say that much.
Yeah, it does. Let's move on to another team in the NFC South. Let's talk about them being playoff contenders. And this was the discussion we didn't think we'd have to have when it concerns this team, the Carolina Panthers. I watched your video yesterday. You said O-N-E done. Let's hear an explanation as to why.
They are finished. And it's a shame because everything that could go wrong has went wrong this season for the Carolina Panthers. That was such a winnable game. And if Cam Newton doesn't try to trollop into the end zone on a 2-point conversion, he's not concussed. And he's playing on Monday, and they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're just fine. But now at 1-4, you look around the NFC landscape, there are too many teams that they're going to have to leapfrog just to save face this season. And much like you said about the Redskins and their schedule, well, the Panthers are playing a first-place schedule as well. They're not getting any layups. They're not getting any cupcake games. And they don't have the one thing that they had last year, and that's confidence. This team was beating the brakes off of teams last year, scoring 30 and 40, dabbing on the sideline, taking team photos. That team is dead and gone. They don't have the confidence that they had on defense. They can't even stop Jacquizz Rodgers fresh off the streets from getting 100 yards. They're allowing teams to beat them on the ground, through the air. Offensively, they are not the same team. They don't have the same confidence. And to me, it starts at the top with Dave Gettleman. I don't like Dave Gettleman. I never have. I still don't. I don't like his way of running this team, but it's gotten results, so I backed off. But he cut Bené Benwickery for no reason. Now you're starting Teddy Williams at cornerback. What are you doing? This team is a mess right now, and at 1-4, I think they've dug themselves too deep of a hole to climb out of. No playoffs for the Panthers this season.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous right now when it comes to the Panthers. As you said, I mean, this is perfect analysis. Damn it, I wish I would have said it first. It's all about right now, 100%. This is a team that look week one, they looked exactly like the Carolina Panthers to me. They went to Denver, they played one hell of a game, and they missed a field goal to lose the game. Okay, it's not a great loss, but, I mean, it's the loss, but they look like the Panthers to me.
Right.
That wasn't a team that I'm not recognizing. Now I'm not recognizing this team. Defense. Guys like Kawan Short, guys like Coney Ely, even Luke Kuechly, who's been still playing really well, but not as dominant and forceful and confident. Absolutely. You're not getting nothing today on this defense. I'm not seeing that from this team. Saw Kurt Coleman, and your analysis on Kurt Coleman has been on point since day one. I've always agreed with you when it comes to Kurt Coleman. This guy, everyone around, and when everyone's having a good time, he's like, yeah, watch I just get this interception, and I'm playing well. No, you're not, and you're seeing that. This guy's not a good football player. Now they're trying to sign Michael Griffin from the formerly of the Tennessee. This guy stinks, and he's old. They're seeing all kinds of issues. And Dave Gettleman, you said, oh, we'd like to rely on the reliable interior guys, the defensive line, man. We can No, you can't. Not the same guy, because Charles Johnson's not the same guy, because these guys in the trenches that you loved so much are not the same guys right now. And the guy that you let go, Josh Norman, he's the same guy. He's the exact same guy. That was a reliable guy, and you let him go. Not playoff contender.
And I'll add one more thing to this. I was listening to Chris Spielman doing the game for the Lions over the weekend, and he said something that was profound, and I haven't really gave this much thought until he said it. He said, this is the new NFL, and him being an ex-linebacker, he's a big trenches guy. But he said, this is a new NFL. And when Darius Slay made that game-clinching interception versus the Philadelphia Eagles, he said, that's why you pay your cornerbacks, Carolina, because this game is now played from the outside in. It's no longer played from the inside out. And I took a second and I looked and I said, you know what? You're right. It's a passing league now. If you're going to win and you're going to beat the better teams in this league, it's great if you can get Von Miller on your team. How many teams have Von Miller on their football team? Not many. You got to be able to play defense out wide. And the Panthers simply cannot do that. And now it's even worse. They're not getting any pressure, and they're not stopping the run as dominant as they once did.
Let's move on to the NFC West right now. Now, we're going to skip the Seattle Seahawks because they didn't play last week. Still don't have a large enough sample size. But when it comes to the LA Rams, are they true playoff contenders? And you're already laughing. Go ahead and take this.
They have Case Keenum at quarterback. No, and no. It's just like I said about Ryan Fitzpatrick. You can't win with these guys. Did you see Derek Anderson last night? Did you see him?
Man.
You can't win with these journeyman backup quarterbacks. They're backups for a reason. Case Keenum is horrible. Okay, now, granted, he got him off to a nice 3-1 start. And this is the thing you have to know about the LA Rams. They love to rise to the occasion in the division. They know how to play Seattle. They know how to play Arizona. They will beat those teams. They went to Arizona last year and won. They went to Arizona this year and won. They beat Seattle. They swept them last year. They already beat them this year. They know how to play those teams. It's when they get outside of the division, that's when they struggle. You saw Buffalo go into LA and beat them last game. They're going to continue to struggle. It would not shock me in the least if they lost to one of these other teams that they have to play that you expect them to be able to beat. This Rams team is going to come crashing down to earth. And my barber is a huge Los Angeles Rams fan, and he was talking about this is the first time we're going to be 4-1 since the good old days. I said, you're not going to beat the Bills. He said, why would you say that? I said, because you have Case Keenum at quarterback. You can't win consistently in this league if you don't have a guy at the quarterback position that can win you football games. And Case Keenum can't consistently win you football games. And I love their defense, but their defense is okay. Everybody wants to make this big brouhaha about this defense. They get pressure, they can create turnovers, but they still aren't a great defense because of days like last week against Buffalo where Shady McCoy goes bananas on them and dominates the football game. No, the Rams are not a playoff team. No.
I am absolutely shocked that the LA Rams have won 3 games. I mean, honestly, I'm at this point, I'm absolutely shocked. If you would have told me before the season, I said maybe they win 3 the whole year. I had them 4-12, and as you said, it's because of Case Keenum. Now I know that they usually win their divisional games. I understood that. But I said no, something's gotta give.
All right.
Or later, the Seahawks and the Cardinals are just gonna say, "Now we're not losing to y'all," but for some reason they still did it anyway. The Rams. They just rely on first of all Case Keenum and also these inconsistent wide receivers Kenny Britt, Tavon Austin, Brian Quick.
Tavon Austin and that's it.
I mean, guys like their offensive lineman Greg Robinson and just these their whole inconsistent team. They're completely inconsistent except for the defensive line. The defensive line, they're consistent. They're great. That's fine. Whatever. But yeah, they're going to come crashing down. They're not a playoff contender. We both can agree on that. Let's move on.
Let me say this one more thing before you move on.
One more thing.
You know the thing that is, you know who the biggest loser is in all of this? Todd Gurley. Poor Todd Gurley.
Oh man.
Have you seen his numbers this year? You know why they're suffering? Because every team is like, you have Case Keenum at quarterback. I'm putting 8 in the box. I dare you to beat us with Case Keenum at quarterback. Who's your receivers again? Kenny Britt, never heard of him. Who's the other guy? Brian Quick, never heard of him. Who else you got? Oh, yeah, I do need to watch out for Tavon Austin, but I'll keep tabs on him. Teams are loading up the box and daring Case Keenum to beat them, and he's not going to be able to do it. Poor Todd Gurley. Poor Todd Gurley.
And still, Jared Goff is nowhere even close to seeing the field right now.
That's scary. That is scary.
While Colin Kaepernick gets to start this upcoming week instead of Jared Goff. Anyway, let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals, a team that I had winning the Super Bowl. I'll start this one. I'm not sure what the current injury report is on Carson Palmer, but
he's playing this week.
What was that?
He's playing this week. He's been cleared.
Okay, good. All right, that's good. Drew Stanton did not impress me, so luckily we don't have to worry about that anymore. But, man, this Cardinals team, it's another team that doesn't appear to be playing with the confidence that they had last season. And, man, that is scary. And Carson Palmer, he hasn't been as bad as some people are saying. Like, he's not Case Keenum bad, but he's not the Carson Palmer of last year. You're also seeing some issues defensively that you didn't see last year. But I think with their talent, and, man, they have talent, that they're still playoff contenders right now. What do you say?
No Super Bowl for this team, but playoffs, I can't write them out. Playoffs? I can't write them out of the playoffs just yet because, like you said, it's a talented football team. And let's look at these losses for a second. If your snapper doesn't have a brain fart against New England, you probably beat the Patriots on the last second field goal. Okay? You go to Buffalo, and yeah, I thought they were outplayed in that ball game, but you had turnovers. Carson Palmer threw 3 or 4 interceptions. Your long snapper had another brain fart, snaps the football all over the place. You lose that ball game. The Rams game, they had every opportunity to win that football game. And I still contend if Carson Palmer doesn't go down with a concussion, they find a way to win that football game. You're at 2-3. You haven't played good football at all, but you still have a talented nucleus. If Carson Palmer can stay healthy, David Johnson is such a good football player. You look at the skill positions, I think this defense is going to get better because we know what Patrick Peterson is. I think Chandler Jones is a really good football player and a good addition to their team. Marcus Golden is starting to get pressure. I think they're doing some good things defensively. I think this team can turn it around. I'm not going to bury them yet. That was a big win against San Francisco because Drew Stanton, go ahead and lump him in with Case Keenum and Derek Anderson and Ryan Fitzpatrick and all the rest of those bums. He found a way to get them a win on Thursday night on the road. That was big. They're 2-3. They're not dead yet. They're still playoff contenders.
All right. With that said, I'm going to list a number of teams, and I want to tell you which one you think is most likely to still be a playoff contender and to even make the playoffs. Almost all of these teams are 2-3. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Lions, the New York Giants, the Indianapolis Colts, the Tennessee Titans, the Cincinnati Bengals, and let's throw in the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you asking me now?
Yes.
Okay, go one by one down the list, and I'll just knock them out. Let's go quick.
Okay, all right. Let's start with the Detroit Lions.
No. They're too inconsistent. After they lost to the Titans at home, I doomed them and condemned them to 7-9, 8-8 best this season. They'll jump up
right after that.
And then exactly, they jumped up and beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's what inconsistent 7-9, 8-8 teams do. They win games they're not supposed to. They lose games they're not supposed to. No for the Detroit Lions.
I have to agree on that one. The New York Giants.
The New York Giants, no, they're inconsistent, and Ben McAdoo is just as clueless as he can be. Porn stash has no idea what's going on the sidelines. He doesn't have control of his football team. I like the defensive improvements. They're actually good on defense, but right now, I didn't think I would be saying this 5 weeks into the season. Their offense is lost right now, and I didn't think that would be an issue with Ben McAdoo. That's why he was promoted, because his offense was so good under him as the offensive coordinator. He's struggling. He's struggling with managing the game. He's struggling with managing 53 different personalities. It's one thing to be a coordinator. It's another thing to be a head coach. He's not head coach material. They're finding that out slowly. No, the Giants aren't a playoff football team.
And that's actually a great point. You know, a lot of people, they look over that head coach persona and that mentality. He's not a head coach. I mean, he's not as superior one to be right now. He just can't control all these personalities. Can't control Odell Beckham. I mean, Odell Beckham, you got to be able to control this guy. Eli Manning's not playing well. This offense isn't playing that well. Yeah, I have to say no to the New York Giants as well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you say about them?
No, they're a young team. They're not ready yet. Jameis Winston, not ready yet. Too many turnovers. They're still trying to figure some things out defensively. They're still trying to figure some things out offensively. Dirk Cutter wants Jameis Winston to cut back on the turnovers. You saw how he had the reins around his neck in that game versus Carolina, really running the football 30 times with Jaquiz Rodgers. This is a team still searching for an identity, ton of injuries. No for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, right now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is a team that I had as my bold prediction making the playoffs this year, but unfortunately I'm not feeling very confident about that. I'm still a big Jameis Winston supporter, but, man, he needs some more underneath receivers, some guys that not Adam Humphries. And, you know, I think they need to rebuild their wide receiving core outside of Mike Evans. I think they need to get a tight end in there that's actually worth the damn. Not Cameron.
I actually really like Cameron Brate, man. I really like him a lot.
But he's not a number one.
I think he's more than adequate enough to provide what you need at that position. I actually think their skill positions are fine. Adam Humphries can work underneath for you. No. I just think that Jameis Winston right now isn't seeing the field well enough. And oh, by the way, the offensive line, not very good. Not very good at all in front of him. He's taking a lot of shots, and I think he's rushing, much like we saw at Florida State in his final year there. When he feels like he has to win the game and you put a little pressure on him, he will turn the football over, and that's what's happening right now in Tampa.
I think Vincent Jackson's done. I think Adam Humphries is mediocre, but we'll move on from there because we both agree they're not a playoff contender. Let's move on to who else did I list? The Indianapolis Colts 2 and 3. I'll start this one, and I'm going to have to say a contender. I think they're going to start winning some games. Now, I don't have them making the playoffs, but I still see 7-9, 8-8, and then maybe 9-7, and then we'll see how the wild card shakes out. Dangerous. I think Andrew Luck is playing really well. You're seeing why last season he did not play well. Okay, as I think the offensive line is playing worse this season than they did last season. The difference is he has stepped it up. T.Y. Hilton has stepped it up, and now you're seeing him produce much more. What do you think?
He wasn't right last year. He was banged up last year, and he didn't want to admit it, but he wasn't right. And he needed to sit down and just get healthy, and he did that in the offseason. No, this team isn't a contender, and I'll tell you why. Here's the deal. Only one team's coming out of the AFC South. If you're not good enough to win that division, you're not getting into the postseason. There's no wild card coming from the AFC South. Either you're going to win 9 games to win that division, or you're not going to the playoffs. They're not winning 9 games, and they're not going to win that division. They're not going to the playoffs. Andrew Luck is playing out of his mind right now. He has no help except for T.Y. Hilton. Hopefully, they'll get some of their supporting cast back, mainly Dante Moncrief. I'm a huge Dante Moncrief fan. Still waiting for Dorsett to show up. I'm not a fan of their tight ends. Jack Doyle, he's okay, but he's not real. They need some help there. Dwayne Allen thought he was something that he's not, and they're finding that out as well. But bottom line is this defense is horrible. The offensive line, like you said, is worse than it was last year. This defense can't stop anybody. They're going to lose games. They almost lost to the Bears, and I get it. I understand. Billy Ho almost threw for 400 yards. No, they're not going to the playoffs.
And I mean, it's so funny to hear Ryan Grigson say, "Oh, we can't
He's an
add
idiot,
talent."
and he should have been given his pink slip in the offseason. And the fact that he's still there is part of the reason why they're not going to the playoffs this season as well.
Contract is so large, even though we just signed it this season, this offseason, and I've had 5 drafts to draft one good pass rusher, hell, one good cornerback, hell, one good linebacker,
He's
and
an
I
idiot.
haven't drafted any of them.
He's an idiot. Stone cold idiot. Him and that 49ers front office, they're competing for the most dysfunctional in the league, along with the Chargers. They're all up there.
Let's move on to the Tennessee Titans. I'll start this one since I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. No. It's nice knowing that they can run the football right now. DeMarco Murray, Derrick Henry, they look really well. Marcus Mariota had a good game this past week, but I don't know. I saw enough the season. I think his quarterback production has not been very good at all this season. I think their defense still has some weaknesses, and they're going to start losing some games in the division to the Colts and the Jaguars. They have the NFC North matchups coming up against the Packers. I think they're going to start losing some games, and they're going to be okay, maybe 6 wins, but not a playoff contender.
No, they're not a playoff contending team, but I actually like what they're doing out there, and I love the way they run the football. I think the offensive line is doing some really good things, moving guys off the spot, creating space for these running backs. I went into the season under the assumption that they were going to do exactly what they did against the Dolphins, run it 41 times, and I don't give a damn how you divvy it up. This past week, it was 27 for DeMarco, 7 for Derek, 7 for Marcus. I don't give a damn. 40 carries. I don't care how you divvy it up. 235 yards rushing for a sultry 8.3 yards per pop. That's what I want to see from this football team. Run the football, pound teams into oblivion, and then let Marcus find Delaney Walker over the middle of the field, play off of that play action fake. I know you want to spread it out. I watched your video about firing Mike Mularkey. You know you want to spread teams out. Spread them out with who? Who is he going to throw the football to? I remember you guys vividly telling me that Tajay Sharp is going to have 800 yards receiving. I don't see it. Rashard Matthews caught his first touchdown pass this past week. Where has he been? I don't see all of these guys that he's going to spread the field out and throw the football to who are going to win one-on-one matchups. I like the ground and pound mentality, pound teams into oblivion. I actually think this defense isn't that bad. That will give you a chance to be in ball games with a chance to steal them at the end, like you had a chance against the Raiders, like you did against the Lions. This team should be 3-2 right now, not 2-3. But because inconsistencies with game plans and play calling and what's the philosophy, what do we want to do this week, and Delaney Walker being hurt against the Raiders, which I thought if he had been healthy, you could have stole that game, has this team sitting at 2-3. But like you said, schedule's way too tough. There's no way this team's making the playoffs this year.
Well, personally, look, I think that the reason you're saying, okay, they don't have anyone to throw to, they can't spread the receivers out. We are under the presumption that they have better receivers than they did last year. They had DGB, who was their number 1 receiver. He's off the roster, and they've added 2 guys that are starting over him. So the receivers are better than they were last year. You're not seeing them spread them out. You're not seeing the receivers do well because Tajay Sharp was only on the field for 65% of the snaps. Rashard Matthews only on the field for 49% of the snaps. They have Andre Johnson, who's active. They have Harry Douglas, who's inactive. They have 4 active wide receivers. They're not trying to spread it out. That's where you're not seeing pace from the wide receivers. I think even though the wide receivers are not very good, I think the only reason Carson Wentz is way more productive than Marcus Mariota is due to one thing. We're not here to talk about that. Let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, playoff contenders or not.
Come on, MJ. Are you really asking me that? Seriously, what are we doing here? You were better off asking me were the Bears playoff contenders than the Jaguars. Jaguars just won their first game. I'm telling you right now, I thought Gus, every year some poor lame duck coach goes over to London, the team gets slaughtered, and they don't make the trip back. And I thought that coach this year was going to be Gus. They were 0-3. They were sitting there, I think 0-2 at the time. And they were sitting there primed and ready to be plucked. I think they were 0-3, matter of fact, because they had a bye week now. So I think, they were 0-2 or 0-3. I don't remember. Either way, I thought he was primed and ready to be plucked. I said, Indy, go over there. And I'm a Gus Bradley dude. I've been waiting for Gus to have enough talent to turn this thing around. He's just not the right guy for the job. And it hurts me. It pains me to say that. But you know what other question I'm asking, James? Or excuse me, MJ? You know what other question I'm asking? Is Blake Bortles the right guy for that job? I'm not sure anymore. I'm starting to turn on Blake Bortles. But to answer your question, because that's not the question at hand, hell no, the Jags aren't a playoff contending team. No way.
Now, this is very interesting. I can't believe you were ever a Gus Bradley guy. I mean, I find that to be unbelievable. Yes, he's a guy that, people like him. And, he has some nice defensive schemes for Seattle. But Gus Bradley's not a good head coach. I've seen poor clock management. I've seen poor game management in the middle of games, even game preparation. I've seen him get, in the second half, get out-coached. I've seen it time and time again. I don't even see it again. When it comes to Blake Bortles, though, I mean, he's the reasons right now why they're struggling. He's having poor starts to start games, throwing interceptions early, having to come back. And, I was trying to decide, and I'm still trying to decide who I'm picking this week between the Jags and the Bears. And it occurred to me, man, this is the same Jags team that they were last year. Inconsistent. You don't know who they're going to beat. You don't know who they're going to lose to. You don't know. They're 5-11, probably maybe 6-10, because you don't know what's going to happen on a week-to-week basis with this football team. And at the end of the day, in the fourth quarter, then they go to San Diego and they get their ass kicked by the San Diego Chargers. So who is this team? They're bad. They're poorly coached. Yeah. And hopefully they finally move on, but they are not a playoff contender. Let's end it here with the Buffalo Bills. 3-2 Buffalo Bills have won 3 straight games. No Sammy Watkins, though, but does it matter? Are they playoff contenders?
MJ, I'm buying Bills stock right now, man.
Wow.
Buy Bills stock. I'm telling you, MJ, look, this team started out much like the Redskins, 0-2. They were left for dead, all right? Everyone was yelling, fire Rex. He fires the offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, and everybody's asking, wait a minute, you just scored 31 points versus the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Why are you firing him? He's not the problem. Obviously, he was the problem. Here's why. Shady McCoy was everything that he was doing was to the outside. Everything was outside handoffs. And I'm saying to myself, first of all, why is he not touching the football more? He's the most dynamic and explosive player you have offensively. He should be catching it out of the backfield. You should be handing it off to him. There should be plays where he's running up the middle, not everything getting to the outside because he's dynamic and you want to get him out of space. Allow him to run in between the tackles, and if he feels the need to bounce it outside, then he can do that. He's Shady McCoy. Now you see a difference in this football team. I didn't think Tyrod Taylor was playing well. Now all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, this is the Tyrod Taylor that I wanted to see at the beginning of the season. And then I looked at his numbers and I'm like, damn, that's the same Tyrod Taylor numbers from the week 1 game versus the Ravens, like 10 of 21 for 108 yards. I looked up at his numbers versus LA. Same deal, like 14 of 27 for 112 yards passing, but he's a playmaker. He's running, he's using his legs, he's converting on third downs, and most importantly, in the red zone, they're getting in the end zone. They're using him options and read option and sweeps and all kinds of things that they're being different. And that's what they weren't doing with Greg Roman as an offensive coordinator. And all of a sudden now, because they're playing better offensively, what do you know? The defense is coming to life. Rex finally has these boys getting after the quarterback. We know the defense has talent. They still haven't even gotten Marcel Darius back, and yet they have the NFL sack leader on their team. And Lorenzo Alexander, you say, who the hell is Lorenzo Alexander? Good question. He's a guy that's been a journeyman special teams player, but he can play football, and Rex is getting the most out of these guys. And now they're going to get Darius back. The secondary was always good. They're going to start playing even better defensively. And now they're figuring out, and they're doing all of this without Samuel Watkins. They don't have a bunch of skill players that you can get excited about, but they have dynamic playmakers in that backfield in Tyrod Taylor and in Shady McCoy. And to me, if they keep doing the things that they've done, and those guys can stay healthy, and to me, that's the biggest question, because at some point, one or both of those guys are going to get injured. This is a team that I think can contend not only in the AFC conference for a wild card, but dare I say, in the AFC East with the Patriots?
Okay. Now you lost me there. Look, I'm buying the Bills as playoff contenders.
They
I
already
mean, the
beat
way
up
they're
once.
playing right
They
now.
already beat up once.
Okay, so I'm buying the Bills as playoff contenders. I mean, right now they're playing really well. Okay, they won 3 straight games, all of which were impressive. Okay, even beating the Rams in LA, that's an impressive victory. And I never thought after firing Greg Roman, whoop, that fixed every single thing. But man, Rex Ryan apparently knew what he was doing there. They finally are starting to do things offensively without Sammy Watkins. Never thought I'd say that, but I mean, you need to consider them as a playoff contender now. It's going to be interesting. The Baltimore Ravens could really hurt down the stretch, so we'll see how that shakes out if the Ravens are even close. We'll see because that could be pretty problematic. But man, in terms of just being a contender, right? Will they be in it week 17, week 16? Yeah, they're going to be in it with the way they're playing right now. So
and they're in a bad division, so that's going to give them even more opportunities to win some football games.
yeah, that's entirely true. So with that said, I think that ends our NFL Super Bowl / playoff contenders and pretenders segment. Thank you again, Lou, for joining me. Tell the people where they can find you. And again, if you haven't subscribed to this guy already, you must do so. Tell them where they can find you.
Appreciate it, MJ. You can find me on YouTube, Louie Tee Network. Louie Tee Network on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Also, I'm on Twitter at In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me there. And also, I'm on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Go ahead and give me the thumbs up. So those are all my social media platforms. A lot of great things going on the channel right now. I'm about to release a new series called Pulling Your Card. And I'm going to sound off on a number of different topics. GMs, coaches, players, you name it, teams. Nobody's safe. So subscribe to the Louie Tee Network.
Yep, and I'm telling you, if this video wasn't evidence enough, don't be surprised if one day it's me and Lou on ESPN or on Fox Sports 1 doing what we do best, the National Football League. Whether big or small, we cover it all.
Here on Sports Fan Entertainment.
And that's right, and that will end us there. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good